They make them, we cover them, you sell them. Welcome to OEM Update, where we talk about everything you need to know about this year's vehicle model lines. My name is Megan Cusack, editor of Motorcycle and Powersports News, and today we're going to be talking about the 2025 CFMOTO Ibex 450. Now, the Ibex 450 is an adventure bike and starts at a base MSRP of $6,499. So, let's dive deeper into what exactly this motorcycle has to offer. But for that, we're going to go straight to the OEM source. Joining me today to give us an overview of the 2025 Ibex 450 is Reid Strait, Marketing Communications Manager for CFMOTO USA. Reid, thank you so much for hopping on to speak with us today.
Definitely, Megan. Glad to be on.
All right. So, CFMOTO has been around for a while now, but let's kind of address the elephant in the room. This is a Chinese manufacturer, and especially with the current political climate going on, the tariff wars, some dealers and consumers might be a little wary of taking on or purchasing Chinese vehicles. What would you tell them to allay these fears, or even just any fears about Chinese manufacturing in general?
Yeah, absolutely. I think from a motorcycle perspective, I can see where people are still getting a little bit used to the idea of us being in the market. But at the same time, on the off-road side, we've been selling units heavily in the US since 2007. We've really made ourselves a place in that market. And from a dealership standpoint, I would say that there's very little concern there. They've worked with us. We're known as one of the easiest manufacturers to work with as far as dealers go, as far as warranty support goes. Our warranty support is generally quick and hopefully relatively unnecessary. So that's something that we pride ourselves on. As far as kind of the political climate or the geopolitics, I think that that's something that's always going to be going on in the world. There's always going to be push and pull from different places. And at the end of the day, CFMOTO really isn't here to, be a part of, play politics in that sense. There's a history with Chinese vehicles in the US, especially Chinese motorcycles, and what those mean, and, what those more importantly, the quality there. And I think that the first thing that people are finding out about CFMOTO is we're really not here to play by the same quality games and play by the same standards that you might have been more familiar with in the 2000s and 90s. I think that, one of the first things that people see when they come and they see our products for the first time is they're like, wow, these are really nice. These are really on the same par as, the rest of the international competitors, the Japanese companies, the Europeans. And I think that might surprise some people, and that's okay. That's an okay thing for us to bring to the market, I think, is that exploration, because at the end of the day, I think people are really curious more than anything. I think that they see a new player in the industry and they say to themselves, well, are they any good, right? Whether it's us or anybody else. And the curiosity is really what drives that, and we love that. So I would say, from a standpoint of, oh, is it any good, right? Come out to one of our demo events, come out to our dealers, sit on the bike, rev it up, go for a ride. And I think that's going to kind of answer all your questions. I'll also say, we're definitely here to compete with all the main brands and really push the industry to places that it hasn't been before. We move quickly. We have a pretty agile engineering team, and we are always trying to kind of stay on the forefront and really bring the most value possible to our consumers. That's really the name of our game.
All right, excellent. Well, I appreciate your very candid answer on that. And I mean, to your point there, I think there is a lot of curiosity about, CFMOTO and, as you said, these motorcycle models. Specifically, I know there was a lot of hype about your adventure line. So let's kind of dive into the Ibex 450 here. So as far as, the adventure riders go, what types of customers are looking for this model? And, can you just kind of give us the brief introduction to the Ibex 450?
Yeah, for sure. So the Ibex 450 was launched in the US in 2025. It was launched globally a bit before that. So we
Okay.
got some of the benefits of that, just that, we were able to see how the rest of the world was reacting to that before it came to the US. Which was just overwhelmingly good. It's a big bike in our lineup right now because it utilizes our 450 parallel twin with the 270-degree crank. So you saw that first in the US in our 450 SS, which was really one of our big, first breakout motorcycle offerings since we started selling bikes again in the US in 2022. And that was partially because of the nature of that motor. It's a very fun motor. It's very peppy. It's got a lot of attitude, and you get a lot of torque. You get a lot of punch and fun out of that that you would not get with some of our competitors' 180-degree crank parallel twins, which is something that we then again brought to the Ibex 450, which is one of 4 models now in our lineup using that motor. Kind of no surprise after our popularity there with our 450 SS that we wanted to develop that. So the Ibex 450 really fills kind of a gap in the adventure industry that I think consumers really wanted to see filled, but really hadn't seen filled by any other competitors yet. Up until this point, you had small and mid displacement, big bore singles. Right? Like enduros and dual sports that were great off-road, but not really that great for traveling across country to get to those off-road locations. You also had, small to mid-size adventure bikes. Again, very approachable for on-road use, could do the highway miles, but really not built out to then go off-road. And so the Ibex 450 really splits that gap with that parallel twin, again, makes it a much more accessible motor. So now you can ride 70, 80 miles an hour to your location and then go rip off road. It's really a good 50-50, 60-40 bike there. And really well appointed as well, as far as when you look at the features, KYB suspension with fully adjustable fork on it. A very approachable seat height that you can, very adjustable seat height too, between our integrated lowering link and our rally tall seat. You're also looking at some other really great features, our TFT display, road, some really nice 50-50 rubber on it, and a whole host of accessories in-house and aftermarket that's really coming out as well. One of my favorite features about the bike, as somebody who likes to do some adventure riding, is the one-touch off-road button on the handlebar, which will deactivate your ABS at the rear wheel with one touch. And one of the, some of the feedback that we had internally and externally was like, hey, this bike needs to be able to shift from on-road to off-road at, the click of a button, instead of trying to reach through handlebars and hold something down for 5 seconds or go through 5 different clicks on your display. So I think it was very thoughtfully created that way, again, with the KYB suspension, a really great user interface, Bosch ABS, and then that parallel twin.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, you definitely gave us a lot there. And I really like that, that focus there on being able to seamlessly shift from on-road to off-road at the touch of a button. I would say that's probably one of the main features there. But if you were a dealer trying to, show off your different adventure models, between the different OEMs to a customer, what would you say are some of the main selling points of the Ibex 450?
Yeah, so approachability is really the name of the game here, and adjustability. This is a bike that comes in with a relatively, a very low seat height at 32.3 inches. And you can lower that again with a lowering link. It's just, pull the pin, drop it in. Your seat height drops almost an inch there. You can get almost another inch of adjustability out of our rally seat as well. So that in and of itself, makes this bike something that you can get on as a shorter rider or a less experienced rider and really develop on. But also, it's approachable to a more experienced rider who wants that rally seat, knows where their knees need to go, and they can lock in and rip. Yeah, approachability, again, is really the name of the game with the motor too. Really approachable clutching, very smooth motor, very low vibration, even at highway speeds. It's kind of got what you need to do the job and really not any more to complicate it. So I think that we've done a really good job of creating a bike that really anybody can jump on and have a great day, on the pavement or in the dirt.
All right, excellent. Now, how does this model then differ from your other adventure offering, the Ibex 800E?
So the first adventure bike that we offered in the U.S. was the Ibex 800T, the predecessor to the E. So the Ibex 800E is the next step up from the T, brings more tech, more adjustability, more ride modes. And that bike, the 800, is really at its core more of an adventure tourer, right? It's got the 19-inch front wheel. It's got all the ride mode. It's got all the Farkles. It's got Apple CarPlay, like radar blind spot monitoring. Very comfortable for putting those miles on and then ripping down the gravel when you get there. But really not going to put on the same kind of off-road miles that you're going to put on the Ibex 450. That one's really meant to be, again, that 50-50, 60-40 kind of mix of pavement off-road, where you can really do both with the 21-inch front wheel, tubeless cross-spoke rims, and a really approachable attitude to get the job done. It holds its weight much lower. It's meant to be ridden off road, and I think the rubber on that bike proves that too, as far as what you're looking at to transition from pavement to off road.
All right. So, given that the Ibex 450 is new to the U.S. this year, how is CFMOTO, getting the word out and helping dealers, promote these new units?
Yeah. So the good news is we haven't had to do much. The press that this bike has got before it made it to the U.S. shores has really done most of the work for us. So that was, how it was launched internationally, and some of the reviews that have come out of Europe and Australia and Asia. But I mean, that being said, we've done plenty of our own marketing work here too. We want to get the bike in the right hands at the right time, and really be able to show off the bike's capabilities once again as kind of that like really good in-between bike. You can ride it on road, you can ride it off road. It's easy to ride. I know that we have like fairly new riders, kind of getting their ADV feet under them. We also have extremely advanced riders who are racing it in races like Biltwall 100 and sending us like really sweet pictures of them hucking it off jumps. So, it's kind of getting it out there, and, the aftermarket is still building as well. I think that's one thing that people ask about CFMOTO is like, hey, how's the aftermarket like? Well, been around since 2022, with bikes. And we are still building there, but that's something that, aftermarket's been jumping on this bike. So I think that's that's kind of the lifeblood of ADV and motorcycles in general. So really excited to see that develop as well.
Oh, for sure. And, speaking of the aftermarket and how it specializes in accessories, what are some of the most popular accessories for the Ibex bikes?
Yeah, so as far as in-house goes, we have a really nice suite of in-house accessories. We got upper and lower crash bars to protect all that. We have a beefed up skid plate. We also have a tall windshield for those of us who are, a little bit taller and don't want to get hit square in the eyeballs with that turbulence. That's really nice. And then, like I said, probably the most popular, or, depending on who you talk to, the most important accessory too, is that tall rally seat that allows riders who are a little bit taller to really be comfortable on the bike as well, with that accessible seat height out of the factory, as well as, give you a little bit more of the dirt-oriented riding position that you're used to on a dirt bike or a dual sport. We also have some really nice luggage for the bike as well, whether you're into the hard-sided aluminum panniers or, some nice enduro bags too.
All right, excellent. Well, Reid, it's been a pleasure speaking with you today, and thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us about the 2025 Ibex 450.
Absolutely. Thanks, Megan.
For more information about its adventure bikes or to become a CFMOTO dealer, head to CFMOTOUSA.com. And as always, stay tuned to MPN for more of the latest and greatest in motorcycle and powersports news.